of choice. JN Money, from abroad to yard, and Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
We ask our listeners and viewers to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Live from Radio Cayman Studio.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
With Orrett Connor.
Informative, impartial, insightful. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Wednesday, the 10th day of June 2026, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We do hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on our roads, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, because the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, we want to wish you a happy birthday or a happy belated birthday, whichever is applicable, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands. You should accept no substitutes from generation to generation. Coca-Cola, still a Cayman classic. Those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. This morning, I want to extend our condolences to the family of the late Miss Stella A. Banks as well, one of the most wonderful, beautiful persons in the world. Happened, to know her when growing up, and her late son, Kenneth, and I were really, really good friends. Lived across the street from each other as well. So, again, want to extend our sincere condolences to that family. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. And again, this morning, we want to give a big shout out to our colleague here at Radio Cayman, Mr. Joel Wilson. Big shout out to you as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I have the distinct honor and pleasure of being your host. My name is Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Phone lines, whenever they're open, we have a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That number, 1-800-534-8255. Other numbers, 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp number, 925-3261 as well. So before I do any other housekeeping, let's look at the birthday shout-outs this morning. We see where Daniel Doucette celebrating his birthday today. Also Amy Enlightened. What's her other name? Amos Lee. Amos Lee. It's on Facebook. Amy Enlighten. Amos Lee. Upcoming birthdays tomorrow. Miss Tara Bush will be celebrating her birthday. I want to wish her happy birthday in advance. Also, Miss Liz Walton, Liz, celebrating her birthday tomorrow as well. Liz Walton over there in the back, want to wish her a happy birthday in advance. And also Colbert Miller celebrating a birthday tomorrow, June the 11th as well. If you know someone who's celebrating a birthday or any other momentous occasion, please share that information with us right here on For the Record, and we will give them a shout-out, courtesy of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands. You should accept no substitutes from generation to generation. Coca-Cola, still a Cayman classic. Okay, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. We have some distinguished guests, no strangers, to For the Record and to the people of the Cayman Islands in the studio with us. We're going to be talking about an extremely important topic this morning. We're asking you to do more listening than talking this morning. So if you have any questions or comments, we're inviting you to send them to our WhatsApp number, 925-3261. Try to make it as short and as sweet as possible so that I can convey it to our panelists here in the studio. And if time does allow, we will open up the phone lines as well. But we want to talk specifically to this particular topic this morning, and I am going to introduce one of the guests and have her tell you what we will be talking about and introduce the remainder of our panelists in the studio. So with that, I'm going to say good morning and welcome to For the Record to Dr. Theresa Pitcairn. She hasn't been on the show for a while. Good to have her back as well. Morning. Welcome, Miss Theresa.
Good morning, OC, and to quote my esteemed buddy here on my right, good morning to For the Record land, those near and abroad. And if I were to, have that opportunity as well to say a huge good morning to my brother on my left. I think I am your fifth sister, or your fourth sister, fondly. But this morning, and I'd like to raise an issue that Dr. Steve and I raised from 2009, and that's just I'm just putting it right there on the table right from the beginning. And the same issues that we raised in 2009, they're the same lingering issues that we're having today. So this morning we're going to talk a little bit about legal aid and so on, and this has been something very dear to me because I visited the Fairbanks Prison for Women some months ago. I was invited by the ladies who organized the Miss Cayman to go and have a conversation and a visit, and I was deeply surprised and moved by the ladies that were there, and most of them actually shouldn't even be there, to be honest. I was so distraught by what I discovered. I wrote to the ombudsman and had a word with her about initiating some type of investigation, and Sharon, being the person that she is, she went ahead and proceeded to take a look at what exists. So, talking a little bit about legal aid, the thing is with the Bill of Rights under our Constitution, we're entitled to a fair trial, and that's under Section 7 of the Constitution. And you're entitled to a fair trial and public hearing by an independent and impartial court within a reasonable time, and I underscore reasonable. And in criminal matters, you're entitled to have someone defend you with respect to legal representation and given adequate time and facilities to prepare a defense. The problem is, although the Constitution gives us that opportunity, legal aid only arises as a necessary mechanism because that's the only way through which an accused can have legal representation and can afford to have legal representation. And it's in the interest of justice to require that representation, especially with respect to criminal matters. But there are problems, and legal aid isn't something that is automatic. It is narrowly scoped because it's really It doesn't look at larger civil matters, for example, that are family related, where you need that representation. And you're only entitled to that if there's a reasonable chance of success.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, when you look at those things, and I believe that criminal matters tend to take priority with respect to legal aid and so on. Now, I'll stop there and pause for a minute to allow us to settle with some of those thoughts and think about those people who are in our prisons, and think about the ramifications of those persons that are in the prison. And I'd like, if Dr. McField doesn't mind, to put this in context in what we tried to address from 2009, cognizant of all of this, and, you know, the way in which personalities interfere with what is in the best interest of country. Steve?
Doc?
Well, I don't know how to put this, but I have a statement I'd like to make.
Sure.
Okay? Because the reason why I'm making this statement is because of the underlying foundation of the whole problem with legal aid. When in 2010, around the first part of 2010, we tried to, Dr. Pitcairn and I tried to reform the legal aid system and change the system from where it is today to what we would call a legal service office. What we were proposing was that instead of the government paying the money to the courts and who pays the lawyers to come before it, that the funding for legal aid should come directly from the Ministry of Finance. Because the problem that we have with the court system now of legal aid, the courts grant legal aid, the courts grant legal aid to one of two litigants or more. So the courts decide who comes before it, and then the court then adjudicate on that matter before it too. So that's a direct conflict of interest that the court has. And then we looked at legal aid systems in other jurisdictions. It's not the court that administers legal aid. Legal aid is something different from the jurisdiction of the courts. So I went to Canada, and I went to Jamaica, and I looked at the legal aid systems and so forth, and we made a proposal. Now, instead of, like I say, paying the legal aid lawyers by the hour, in which we discovered that a lot of the lawyers at the time were billing the government an excess amount of money for one case, a case that should only take 2 or 3 appearances. Were taking multiple appearances, and they were billing the government for it. At the time, the government in 2010, the government was dealing out $1.8 million for legal aid.
Yeah. And
then our legal aid office would have been situated in Eastern Avenue. It was an office that Kevin Wireless had used during the hurricane 2004. It was outfitted with furniture and telephones and everything. They were giving that to us free. They were not charging us for the telephones. They were not charging us for the furniture. And we were proposing that a legal aid service office would have 5 or 6 attorneys associated with it. Each attorney would have two law students who would be assisting those attorneys and doing research for them, and being able to get experience. We would have paralegal secretaries, a receptionist, and a messenger. And when we calculated all of the expenses that we would have, it would have cost the Ministry of Finance $1.2 million, so the government was saving $800,000 a year on legal aid. But you can imagine the uproar that caused. At the time, the person who was leading the courts was against it. The Minister of Finance at the time was McKeever Bush, and we had a whole lot of other lawyers who were suspicious that they would not be making the funds that they were making before, and the criticism was personally about Dr. Theresa and I. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about the service that we were providing or the people that we were providing the service for. And the legal aid would have been for anything that you needed legal aid for, that you didn't have the money to pay for it. Not just criminal matters in court, civil matters, immigration matters, labor tribunal matters, immigration matters, anything that you had a legal matter that you wanted adjudicated, or you want advice on that you couldn't afford to pay.
Okay, with that, Doc, we're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite Band-Aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Yeah, let me tell you, no AC when I was a boy. I still remember just how good an ice-cold Coca-Cola was.
The part is, the coolest moms and dads always had Coca-Cola or parties.
The sound when you pop the top, and the fizzle, and that, after that first sip.
Coca-Cola, from generation to generation, that ice-cold bubbly. Coca-Cola, still a Cayman classic.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit Cineco.ky today. Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who are just joining us in the studio, we have Dr. Steve McField, Dr. Theresa Pitcairn, and Dr. Roy Bodden. We're talking about legal aid in the Cayman Islands. We're going to be covering a whole lot. Right now, we're into giving a historical perspective of what was proposed in the 2010 and the responses to that as well. So right back over to you.
So our scheme, our system also had a provision that if you had a legal aid matter that was a civil matter that involved damages as a result of the case after the case was adjudicated, then you would have to pay 10% of the damages back to the legal aid system. In other words, the legal aid system by now would have been paying for itself. Mm-hmm. So it got so heated that that the governor got involved in it. Stuart Jack got involved in it and called us up to the governor's office one day with all lots of people, Michelle Richards, McKeeba Bush, people from the governor's office. And what the governor did, the governor sent it to a commission of inquiry, and he appointed Ms. Nesbitt as the commissioner of the chairman of the commission. On one side was the court's people, representing the Chief Justice at the time, Mr. Valdez Foldat, and a gentleman from the governor's office. I can't remember his name, and somebody else. I think it was Miss Delene Cacho.
Okay.
And on our side was myself, Ms. Pitcairn, Dr. Pitcairn, and Elio Solomon representing the UDP government at the time. There were Ms. Nesbitt, the chairman, issued invitation for anyone to come before the commission to give evidence. We even brought the director of legal aid from Jamaica, Mr. Aquillano, to give evidence on our side and to show that what we were doing proposal was even better than what they had in Jamaica. It went on and on and on and on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then Mr. Bush, who was the Minister of Finance, got frustrated and returned the money back to the courts, and the Commission of Inquiry never had a result. There was no results or no finding from the Commission of Inquiry as to whether or not our system was
superior,
was feasible or could be exceeded. So that's the reason why I want to make this statement, because I know that there are a lot of people still out there who carry grudges and who decided personally against us because they think that we were trying to take money away from their farms. So here's my statement. This present debate problem is deeply rooted in generational truth, constitutional reality, and the debilitating experience of professionals like us who live with the experience of rejected people who have survived years of systematic efforts to not recognize our presence. Those in charge at the material time refuse to recognize our education and training. This is a historical and constitutional fact. They put us down, vilified us, weakened us economically and politically, that we did not have resources to mount any kind of professional effective resistance. They believe and still do believe that we are stupid but dangerous. It is this kind of assumption that leads to this endemic problem. This one-sided process of our potential contributions was never lawfully recognized. In the high productive years of our lives, we were forced out of the lucrative professional local market, forced to take the scraps from the professional tables so that when we dare to confront the truth of these different realities, they created additional barriers to keep us silently out. The predictable result is professional annihilation in the legal defense system, and restoring Cayman names to professional historical contribution is not meant to be an attack on Cayman's establishment. It is a simple but important step towards correcting a long history of abuse and refusal. Our appearance on this show on this significant topic reminds us of a painful part of our history that we now have to face. We are here reclaiming the rights to constitutional parity, revitalizing our culture, reassessing our laws, and stepping forward once again among the caretakers of these islands. We are not about revenge or domination. We are about healing, justice, reconciliation, and restoring balance. We will not be able to continue to build a shared future by minimizing or mocking the differences of people who share the same island community. A nation cannot be built on contempt, sarcasm, or denial of history. A nation must be grounded in truth, humility, and mutual respect, not privileges handed down by elites. So that's why I want to say this.
Okay, we have about 4 minutes left, Dr. Bodden. In terms of from a historical perspective, your research, your writing, your experiences, I'd like you to critique what Dr. McField has, his statement, and anything that you may want to add to it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. First of all, I am astounded at what I have heard from Dr. Pitcairn and Dr. McField. I'm astounded, but I'm not surprised, because the behavior of the persons perpetrating that philosophy is underpinned by colonialism. I'll say this, as a person who is grounded in this society, I have always heard complaints about the legal aid administration. And it seems to me that it is plagued by two C's, conflict and corruption. And I want to make a point which I think is pertinent. I noticed the evolution of these law firms. First of all, they dominated commercial litigation and high finance, but they kept on spreading like an amoeba, and now they're down to ordinary criminal litigation, and each of them now has a department where they take on criminal matters, which beforehand was sort of left to a more local branch of the more local attorneys. This, what I have heard from Dr. Pitcairn and Dr. McField, does not bode well for the evolution of democracy, fair play, and good feeling in this society. And when legal aid is used as a political pawn, it simply means that justice will be denied certain people. Because it's plain to see that the very court from whom these people have to appear before should not be the arbiters of who gets legal aid or how much they get.
But exactly.
That is a blatant conflict of interest, and for any authority to allow that to continue, I say they're courting disaster.
Okay, and I should point out that we are going to be looking at what obtains in the Cayman Islands today as far as legal aid is concerned. We're going to refer back again to Article or Section 7 of our Bill of Rights in terms of a person's ability to obtain legal aid as well. We're going to discuss at some point in time the review of legal aid. I think that took place somewhere in 2005, and the results of that review as well, and whether or not you think that may have had any bearing whatsoever in terms of deciding to reject the proposal that had been put forward by you. So we're going to be going through all of that. I'm just giving some things in advance to our listeners and to our viewers, because there's going to be a whole lot of intriguing discussion this morning. Interesting also discussion this morning. So don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Island.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Drivers get another break at the pump. According to the Utility Regulation and Competition Office, the average price of self-service regular gas fell 51 cents this past week to $5.54 a gallon. That's a 65-cent drop since the start of the month. The average price for premium gas tumbled 48 cents to $6.04, and diesel is now at $6.25 a gallon, a 34-cent drop from the last check on June 3rd. According to OffReg, you can get the cheapest self-service regular gas at Mike's Walker's Road for $5.45. On the diesel side of things, refuel at the airport has the lowest price, clocking in at $5.21 a gallon. Folks in Cayman Brac are still paying $6.24. Little Cayman residents, they're paying a whopping $7.29 a gallon. For context, the national average in the United States for a gallon of regular has fallen 10 cents to $4.15 USD. 2 Caymanians are being honored on Monday at the King's Birthday Parade.
This year's honour recipients embody so many of the qualities that make our community special. A selfless desire to make life better for those around them, and in particular, a commitment to support our young people.
Her Excellency the Governor Jane Owen will present the awards to Corinne Glasgow for services to the community and voluntary organizations, and Sean Matthew Tracy for services to chess in schools and the wider community. You're invited to the ceremony, which marks the birthday of His Majesty the King. Please be seated by 7:30 a.m. If you can't make it, no worries. Just keep it locked to Radio Cayman for our live broadcast. And the director of the Department of Tourism is honored as a founding inductee of the Caribbean Tourism Organization's Female Leadership Hall of Fame.
I dedicate this award to my passionate and driven team at the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism, and to my family and to the people of the Cayman Islands. I truly love what I do.
The CTO Female Leadership Hall of Fame celebrates women across the Caribbean whose vision, dedication, and leadership have made, quote, exceptional and lasting contributions to Caribbean tourism.
The Cayman Islands punches above its weight in the quest for achievement. It is a privilege to lead our second economic pillar, tourism.
The historic induction took place during CTO Caribbean Week in New York City earlier this month. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. Iranian state media say thousands of people in the southern town of Sirik are without drinking water after 2 reservoirs were damaged by US strikes. The US military said it hit Iranian targets in response to the downing of an American helicopter on Monday. Iran responded with attacks on American bases across the region. The authorities in Hong Kong have charged 7 people and 2 companies over the deadly fire that tore through a public housing complex last year. 168 people died in the blaze. Pakistan says it's carried out strikes on suspected militant hideouts along the Afghan border, killing dozens of insurgents. The Taliban authorities in Afghanistan say 13 civilians were killed in the Pakistani strikes, including children. The European Chemicals Agency says it's recommended classifying a chemical known as TFA as toxic for human reproduction. The substance is considered a forever chemical because it takes an extremely long time to break down. It's widely used in pesticides and industry. Ukraine's military says it's again hit Russian military and energy infrastructure behind front lines. Kiev's drone forces say they've struck key facilities at the Russian-occupied port of Mariupol. A Sudanese man has appeared in court in Northern Ireland accused of attempted murder over a knife attack. Hadi Al-Odid did not respond when the charges were read to him through an Arabic interpreter. He's been remanded in custody. The attack sparked violent anti-immigration demonstrations in Belfast. Almost 20,000 people in Japan have signed an online petition protesting against the Trump administration's use of manga and anime characters in social media posts. The organisers say this may go against the intentions of the original creators. Donald Trump has shared a video depicting himself as the protagonist of the series Naruto. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
When I first started going to Healthcare Pharmacy, it was because it was convenient. But over the years, I continued to shop there because I trusted them. One day I was picking up my prescription, and the pharmacist noticed an over-the-counter medication in my basket. She said, "I hope that's not yours. It will interact with your prescription." And I thought, wow, thank you. Trust is so important when it comes to your health. Healthcare Pharmacy, with 2 locations, Grand Harbor and Governor Square, where they care about my health.
Join us on Monday, the 15th of June at 8 a.m. for His Majesty King Charles III's birthday parade and presentation of honors ceremony in front of the Government House. Members of the public are asked to be seated by 7:30 a.m. Bring the family and be a part of this national celebration. Can't attend in person? Watch the live broadcast on CIG TV and the Cayman Islands Government YouTube channel. Let us celebrate together.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 79%. The barometric pressure is 29.93 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 10 knots. Overnight low was 82. Synopsis indicate an upper level trough over the Yucatan Peninsula may support a few showers across the Cayman area over the next 24 hours. Moderate southeasterly winds and seas is expected to continue across the Cayman area for the next couple of days, and satellite imagery show numerous multi-layered clouds across the northwest Caribbean drifting west. The forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of isolated showers and possible thunderstorms. Showers will be locally heavy at times, and temperatures will be in the upper 80s. Winds will be southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of isolated showers, and temperatures falling to the mid to upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and winds southeast at 10 to 15 knots as mentioned, and seas moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Low tide will be this morning at 11:51, high tide this evening at 6:47. The sun will set this evening at 2 minutes past 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:48. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Saturday morning.
Let's hear it for your Wildcat cheerleaders.
Aunt Angie, weren't you a cheerleader?
The best in the Western Hemisphere, until I attempted that switch kick, double twist roundhouse.
Huh?
Exactly. I must have been in the air for 20 seconds before I fell into that snare drum. I set a world record, though, and thankfully I could trust the CG Medical Portal with my claims. All 37 of them.
The CG Medical Portal. Safe and secure. CG Britcade. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
The 25th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Hope is Here. Presented by the New Self-Help Foundation, Sunday, June 28th at the Hawkwheel Theatre. Awesome performances by Rico Rolando, Erica Asai, actress Caitlin Tyson, Dequan Smith, UCCI Dance Company, Radiance Dance Studio, Center Point Limited, John Gray Kitchen Band, and Starlight Elite Strings, Michelle T, and more. Tickets cost $15 CI prepaid or $20 at the gate, and available from the #1 shoe shop and Winner's Circle Sports. Talent Exposition of the Arts, Hope, hosted by Anika Jefferson and Lloyd Parker. June 28th at the Hawkwheel Theatre. Gates open at 5 p.m. Show starts at 6 p.m. Share part proceeds from this event to benefit the Pines Retirement Home.
The Atlantic hurricane season has officially begun, and while the 2026 forecast currently indicates a below-average season, it only takes one storm to cause a significant impact. The Water Authority is urging its customers and the wider public to prepare for the season. The Water Authority is conducting its usual seasonal readiness activities, which focus on protecting its critical assets, such as stored water pumps and pipelines, which are all necessary to ensure access to safe drinking water after a storm. Depending on weather conditions, the authority may need to proactively turn off the water supply before a storm to ensure sufficient water is available after it passes. This is why it is critical that customers store water before a storm approaches. Ensure you have an emergency 3-day supply of drinking water for every member of your household. That is 1 gallon per person per day. You should stock more water for vulnerable persons, including infants, pregnant, and nursing mothers, and the elderly, as well as for your pets. Additionally, you would store water for non-drinking purposes, such as sanitation. Throughout the hurricane season, the Water Authority will share important preparedness tips on its Facebook and Instagram pages to help you stay prepared. Additionally, guidance and updates can be found on our website, www.waterauthority.ky/hurricane-preparedness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's check in with traffic, see what's slowing, what's flowing. Shamrock Road starting out east, traffic is rolling steady through spots in Savannah and down to the Linford Pearson Highway, as traffic is moving at a moderate pace. And as we turn our attention to Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is steady coming off of there. Nothing to worry about too much, and continuing on to Huldah Avenue. Moderate flow of traffic heading towards the airport, should be a smooth ride in. Coming from the Westway four-way stop, no issues there as traffic is light to moderate. And as we turn our attention to North Sound Road, traffic picking up a little bit, but still manageable. Industrial Way, steady but flowing, nothing to stress about today. Owen Roberts Drive, as mentioned, is moving pretty good. And Edward Street, moderate flow of traffic, and into Georgetown and Shedmore looking good as well. And that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. And that's your morning drive around, Cayman. And as you go about your day, remember, eyes on the road. Your text can wait. Arrive alive, Cayman Islands.
Start your year off right with Subway's Fresh Fit menu. 4 protein-packed subs with 20 grams or more protein, under 500 calories, and loaded with full servings of crisp veggies on hearty multi-grain bread. Try the grilled chicken and avocado, the ham and turkey stacker, the seasoned steak and avocado, or the turkey and ranch delight. Big flavor, plenty of protein, and fresh veggies in every bite. Fuel your day the Fresh Fit way. Only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Did you know there are over 100 Adventist-owned businesses right here in the Cayman Islands? Adventist entrepreneurs are making a powerful impact across Cayman. Join us on Sunday, June 28th at 2 p.m. at the Lion Center, Grand Cayman for the ASI Cayman Business and Career Expo. Explore products and services, enjoy exclusive discounts, free samples, giveaways, and exciting prizes. Need a wellness check? Enjoy free health screenings and relaxing massage therapy. Thinking about your future career? Young people, students, and job seekers, whether you're looking to grow your business, plan your future, network with professionals, or simply enjoy a great community event, this is the place to be. Admission is absolutely free. The ASI Cayman Business and Career Expo. Showcase, connect, succeed. Sunday, June 28th, 2 p.m. at the Lion Center. For more information, visit asikayman.interamerica.org.
the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I have also been asked to send belated birthday greetings to Miss Queenie Turner. Some of you may know her as Miss Faith Turner. Us old Caymanians know her as Miss Queenie. So greetings are coming from Miss Sada Gillette and family, and from the Connor family as well. She celebrated her birthday on Monday. So happy belated birthday to Miss Queenie Turner, also known as Miss Faith Turner as well. So for those of you who are just joining us in the studio with me this morning, doctors Steve McField, Theresa Pitcairn, and Roy Bodden, we're talking about legal aid in the Cayman Islands, the fact that our Constitution makes provisions for it, and we're also giving you the history of the struggle to have legal aid established in the Cayman Islands, and also a critique of what we currently have in terms of legal aid, and whether or not that is the best that we can do. Ms. Theresa.
Right. So I'll start by saying, during the break, we had this discussion about the dynamics that Dr. Roy, Dr. Steve, and I have had in this community, simply because possibly because of our background, possibly because of the passion that we bring to the conversations that we have, and folks having a view about that passion and the concern when we try to express it. And I think, by and large, neither one of us around this table have been afraid of speaking those truths and speaking the truth to power. Mm-hmm. And I think that over the years, that was perceived by folks who were in leadership as something that, that was not. I was thinking the other day, when Dr. Steve tried to introduce the bail law, he was placed in contempt of court. I mean, sit on that for a minute, right? And remember, bail is something that you provide based on the presumption of innocence. Now, can you imagine what? And when I listen to some of the stories that he shares, I am just in consternation, and I've said to him I'm going to write his story. Roy's been talking a little bit about it as well. There's some 900 articles archived in the Compass about this man.
And that's just the Compass alone. Yeah.
This is it, right? But I say all of that to say, even when we were sitting here during the break talking about what the hurricanes that Steve and I went through, just to present an alternative position based on experience, right? Because, I think Steve at one point even tried to introduce a legal aid clinic, and there were issues that he went through even trying to do that. So that just and I should say to folks that are listening, this is not us talking about history for the sake of discussing history and because of how our experiences evolved, because when people want to make change, you will get conflict, you will get those types of challenges. But in a small community like ours, each one of us around this table, when we were trying to push forward initiatives that's in the best interest of this country, Caymanians laughed at us and called us educational idiots. And that was supported because of the kind of environment that we had at the time. And I remember the politician when I was younger saying that Boddentowners would vote for a broomstick if you put it up there for them. So that was the level of irreverence and disrespect.
Yes.
No, and people said it out loud and felt that they could get away with it because they could. And at some point, where we are today, getting a clear sense about that and wrapping our minds around it, especially with the younger generation, you need to know what it took to bring you to where you are and to understand why there are these ongoing problems that we see. So I just wanted to put that out there. This is not us just being negative. We're just putting this into context. So I'd only start by saying, sharing what exactly is stated under the Constitution, which is Section 7, Section D, which deals with fair trial, And it's that persons are allowed to defend himself or herself in person or through legal assistance of his or her own choosing, or if he or she has not sufficient means to pay for legal assistance and the interest of justice, so as the interest of justice so require, through a legal representative at public expense, provided through an established public legal aid scheme as prescribed by law. So we had a legal aid law, but it was not what we needed. And Steve and I, based on our experience and based on having these conversations with specialists in the region who understood what we were trying to do, we had those conversations. Steve in particular traveled all over the place. And then we had this gentleman, Leroy Equiano was his name. He was in charge of the legal aid system in Jamaica at the time. He came over, he looked at the legislation, he looked at what we were proposing, he looked at how it would be sustainable over a period of time. And he says, if you guys can pull this off, this will be better than what anyone has in the Caribbean. So that's the context and that's the work that we did. Now, what we have now barely gives people the proper representation, right? And I'm going to allow Steve to build on what I'm about to say as well, because Steve and Roy, because he has that. So one of the criticism that was afforded at me, because if you have a look at the articles at the time, you will see those names held anonymous and all of the comments that were made. It was crazy. It was a crazy period of time. And these are folks that have no interest in locals. And I mean, one of the concerns that I had even then was the constitution of our bench and asking myself, God forbid, if I had a son who had to go before that bench with people who had no knowledge about my cultural experience, about my son's or daughter's cultural experience. And they would be the persons that I'm asking to provide justice to my own kids. And I said, but that's just not on. Steve and I, we had many conversations with the UDP government. Say what you want to say about Mr. Bush. And I know he has a colorful history, a colorful past, and so on. But when we raised this with him, and certainly myself with respect to the administrative tribunals as well. And again, Roy asked me to chair the labor tribunal when he was elected and so on, and he recognized the concerns that we had. It was this accumulation of experiences based on the experience I had when I chaired the Labor Appeals Tribunal, when I chaired the CPA Tribunal and so on. That just gave you a series of education and experience that I did not have while practicing law at Maples, because that was primarily corporate. But, so when folks say that I didn't have the experience with people, I go to church. I used to go to church every Sunday, so I taught Sunday school. I know what our children experience. So I was in an informed position to make the contributions that I made. Steve just pretty much helped me because he too had been through that whole experience. So I hear what is now being raised about having a public defender's office. It won't be a cure-all or a panacea for what we have. It will create structure. It will ensure that we have targeted expertise. But the other issues that we have, they will remain. So with that, I'll just pass it over to Dr. Stephen and pass it over to Roy.
Yeah, and further to what I have stated already, Mr. Bush at the time was concerned about the Auditor General's inquiry, Mr. Dan Duguay. Mr. Dan Duguay was very worried that within 18 months, the legal aid bill had gone from $500,000 to $1.8 million. And that is what prompted, how could that happen? Mr. Dango Duguay also was as a matter of fact was concerned that we were spending so much money on legal aid on such a small window of time, and that was why Mr. Bush decided to ask us to look into the matter. Now, the problem that we have with some of the criticism about our proposal was that Dr. Pitcairn at the time did not have criminal experience. Well, if you have a legal service office and you have 5 or 6 attorneys there, attorneys doing divorce, doing criminal work, doing civil work, doing tribunal works, doing whatever they're doing, you're going to have an attorney who probably not in court, an attorney who's administering the office, who's making sure that the office runs properly. You see, they never even put forward any proposals that were comparable to ours or to counteract what we said. Our proposal, it just died. The commission of inquiry just died because the strain was so effective that Mr. Bush decided, you know something, I am going to give the money. I'm going to give the money back that I have in the ministry to the courts and let them deal with the problem.
Mm-hmm. So had money been taken from the courts and placed otherwise, or this was separate money that would have been assigned, allotted
to the courts?
Got you.
But legal aid all over the world is not dispensed by the court. It's dispensed by the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance is the ministry that funds legal aid in UK. You can go to the UK and you can look at their website and you can see, and you can go to Canada too. It's not the court.
That's right.
Because the court, right. the court can't decide who they're going to fund to come before them.
No.
I mean, that
it was a conflict of interest, and we raised it. We raised it, so
we raised that. So, what Dr. Pitcairn are talking about, like when I came back to the island, bail was a discretion of the court. And I said, bail is a discretion of the court. It means that if you get in, if you were arrested for something, they could keep you in jail for 3 months, 6 months without having bringing you to court to have a trial. And I would always address the courts. And in those days, I was a little bossy too. And because I knew everything about bail, I knew all the case law, I knew all of the arguments for and against. And I was schooling the judge. And you know what the judge would do to me? He would turn his back on me in his swivel chair.
What?
And I would be talking to his back.
Wow.
And then he would turn around, he would say, McField, have you finished?
Yeah. What?
And I would say, Your Honor, no sir, I says, I have 2 more submissions to make. And he said to me, I do not want to hear them. I want you to sit down and shut up. And I say, I'm not doing so, sir, till you hear my submissions. And he says, well, you're in contempt of my court, and I fine you $500 to purge your contempt. If you don't pay it, you cannot come back to court. And I say, I'm not paying it to come back to court. And there I was out of court because I'm fighting for bail. And people were saying, look at that old fool. Boy, there, he's making trouble with the courts and so forth and so forth. Now, bail in our every civilized country is to preserve the presumption of innocence until you're found guilty. And so those were some of the things that we went through to be able to establish justice in this country. That's what I talk about, justice. We were only trying to save the Cayman Islands money. At the same time, what we were trying to do is to have a home for the law students so they could get experience. By now, they would have been doing the course work and doing the prosecution work and doing their legal aid work. Because like as I've read in the newspaper, there's a one-sided system in court now where the prosecution side has all of the experience and all of the lawyers, and the legal aid system has none. Because the people who were doing legal aid then, who took it away from us, now don't need legal aid now. They're rich and they're powerful, and they're not going down to the courts to help no poor people to do legal aid for $106 an hour when they can make $500 and $600 and $800 an hour and sit in their offices. And you don't blame them. I don't blame them either.
Okay, with that, we're going to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best good
not tonight. You keep poking me and I need to be rested for meetings tomorrow.
What? I was almost asleep. That's the mattress spring I keep telling you about, not me. We really need to get a new mattress.
Tossing and turning, back hurting, can't sleep? It might be time to turn in your old mattress and go to bed with a new one. Browse the huge mattress showroom at Brand Source Home Gallery and pick the perfect mattress today. With mattresses to suit every budget, Brand Source Home Gallery stocks a wide selection of sizes and styles like pillow top and gel memory foam. So stop tossing and turning and sleep better tonight with a new mattress from Brand Source Home Gallery, Dawson Drive, Industrial Park.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite band-aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
This is Cheryl Ebanks Miller, the Cayman Islands' very first female radio announcer. What a privilege that has been for me. And I just want to say happy 50th anniversary, Radio Cayman. It was wonderful being here from the very beginning. And I wish you all much success for future years and that it'll get even better.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, doctors Theresa Pitcairn, Roy Bodden, and Steve McField. One of our listeners has written and said, "Good morning to all. The problem in Cayman is that successive governments are not in charge of policy on certain things. Private sector often tells the government what to do. People are elected to effect change, but the electors have to fight the same people to do what they were elected to do." Just want to remind our listeners again also that the phone lines are not open because we really want to continue this discussion to keep you informed. But again, we're welcoming you to send any comments or questions that you may have to our WhatsApp number 925-3261. Before I hand the mic back over to our panelists, I want to share with you the part of the executive summary of the July 2008 review of the legal aid system in the Cayman Islands. And if you want to read it, it is final report number 4. So as far as access to justice is concerned, it says the access to legal aid is an integral aspect of the administration of justice in the Cayman Islands, and consequently, the delivery of appropriate and cost-effective legal aid in both the criminal and civil areas is essential. The existence of a modern, transparent system of legal aid not only provides access to justice for those in need, it also enhances the image of the Cayman Islands as a sophisticated, democratic, and stable jurisdiction. So you've heard earlier the comments made by our panelists in relation to the transparency, of the system, as well. Here's another one that I want to share with you because this report, to a certain extent, has been, open in terms of what they've said. Costs. This one is interesting, folks, and I'm sure you all would have seen it. Says the concerns expressed by the legislative and executive arms of government focus mainly on excessive costs and the fact that too many of the services are being provided by foreign counsel. While the Commission agrees that the containment of excessive legal aid costs is in the public interest, the Commission considers that the present system of provision of legal aid services by the private bar in general offers good value for money. So I just wanted to share that with you, as well.
Yeah.
Back over to you.
Yeah, so what I'll do, I'll just touch on the existing regime that we have and some of the problems as I summarize them. One of them is access and eligibility, those constraints. Legal aid, as I said at the opening, is not automatic because applicants must meet both the means and merits test, which can exclude individuals who have genuine needs, right? The civil legal aid is narrowly scoped as well, particularly outside family matters involving children. Civil legal aid in the Cayman Islands is narrowly scoped and largely constrained outside of criminal matters and certain family matters, particularly those where the welfare of children is concerned, custody, access, or maintenance. And while limited provisions exist from civil claims, access is significantly restricted by both eligibility criteria and the subject matter scope. By that, I'm saying that, individuals facing important civil issues, such as employment disputes, such as housing, immigration, or claims involving financial hardship, these may not qualify you to get any legal aid assistance. And in addition, there is the requirement to demonstrate reasonable prospects of success before aid is granted and can operate as a practical barrier at an early stage, particularly where the applicants lack the legal expertise or resources to properly articulate their case. And this creates that gap that we were talking about earlier. And as a result, the framework tends to prioritize criminal defense and child-focused family matters while leaving broader categories of civil dispute underserved, raising concerns as to whether the system fully supports the constitutional principle of fair access to justice, which is why I read that at the very beginning.
Exactly.
Right. And then there's the whole issue with the inconsistency and the delay, because an application and approval process can create delays in representation, particularly at the critical early stages of proceedings. There's the structural reliance on the private bar, which is what we were just talking about just now. This system depends on private attorneys accepting legal aid work, which may create capacity constraints or lead to uneven levels of experience or expertise. We touched on that as well. Funding and resourcing pressures. Legal aid budgets are inherently constrained. Fee structures may disincentivize complex or lengthy cases, impacting the quality or willingness to act. And then there's the perception of independence, and we've touched on that several times. Because the system is administratively controlled and selectively granted, there can be perceived lack of transparency and questions around consistency of the decision-making process. Now, that is the context of where we are today. Yes. The question then is whether or not a legal defender's department would do that. And remember now, what I'd like our audience to do is to compare what a legal defender's office resembles and compare it to what Steve and I recommended from 2010 and where we would have been today, 16 years later. Passing it over to you, Steve, if you don't mind, to build on that.
Yeah, and one of the things that Dan Duguay was saying, that perhaps it would be, I think he didn't come out and say so, but he was favoring a legal service office in which the legal system was independent of the courts. Now, you know, Dan Duguay comes from a country, came from a country that had a long history of legal services and justice and so forth and so forth. What we were up against was the whole system, the whole colonial system of how the court works in Cayman. I don't know if they still work like this in other overseas countries and territories, but from the beginning, the system of criminal matters in court belonged to the police. When I was clerk of the courts in 1974, we had a very important case where a lawyer, Mr. Carl Brandon, was charged with obstructing the course of justice. The acting Grand Court judge then, Mr. Justice Fields from Barbados, decided that the case had merit to go to the Grand Court, and he asked me to send out the usual notice to the jurors to come to courts to be selected for the jury trial. I selected, I think then it was 50 or 60 jurors, and I gave it the writ with the names of the jurors to come to the Grand Court to the then marshal to the then bailiff of the court, which was Mr. Warner
Ebanks,
the chief inspector. And later on that week, that few days after that, the writ came back with 12 names crossed out of the list that I had given him to summons the jurors to the court. And I asked him, what's the problem here? He said that the police was objecting to those people coming to court as jurors. The police objected? The Judicature Act doesn't give you any right to do that. And so I wrote to him. I spoke to my boss, the Chief Justice, the acting Chief Justice, and I wrote to him and I says, the Judicature Act does not give you or anyone any right to add or to subtract from the writ of FIFA facus to bring the jurors to court. It caused such an uproar. The government got involved in it, and people came down from the glass house to try to tell me what to do. And I was lucky that I had a Grand Court judge who understand how the system works. And it was the first time that we got rid of that part of the police role in the courts, and we appointed Twailawee Vargas as the bailiff of the Grand Court instead of Mr. Warner, Mr. Warner Ebanks.
So at that time, Doc, they were acting basically based on what was what obtained before, but not necessarily in law.
They didn't care. They didn't care. Yeah.
And so the police then was prosecuting in court, and the police was also then acting as the clerk of the courts.
Yes.
With the files in court and so forth and so forth.
And they were the ones also arresting the people.
Arresting the people too.
Conflict of
and locking
interest.
them up in jail.
Yeah.
And so I started to say, but this is not right, Judge. This is not right. And it took me all of those years fighting them. And finally, they have marshals now in the courts now that supervise the courts, the rules in the courts instead of the police. But we haven't gone far enough, because the legal aid system cannot and should not be administered by any judge or any director who sits in the court system. It should be a separate entity set up by the Ministry of Finance, who finances it. And it should be independent of the government. It should be independent of the court, and it should only owe duty of how they spend their money to the Minister of Finance. It has nothing to do with the courts. Nowhere in the world, in a civilized world, that the courts administer a legal aid, you have to apply to the court system for legal aid. That still obtains. And they will hold on to that, They seem to be holding on to that because they can decide who comes to court and who doesn't come to court. And that is completely wrong. It's constitutionally wrong, and it's factually wrong, and it's morally wrong. And today, they're now caught in this dilemma because the lawyers who were doing the private bar who was doing the legal aid work in those days now are rich. They got enough money now. They don't need to go down to the court now. Like I say, to work for $160 an hour. They're making big monies now, and so forth. Now,
Doc, I'm going to interrupt you there because we have to go to a commercial break. And then we do have one question, and you sort of like mentioned it. A person wanted to know whether or not any constitutional challenge can be made in terms of what we have now as far as legal aid is concerned, and whether or not it may be run contrary or maybe unconstitutional, and whether or not there's a possibility of challenge for that. So, folks, as soon as we return, we will get that response from Dr. Steve McField and our panelists here. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
She hear clunk and our car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit Cineco.ky today. Cineco. Keeping Cayman covered.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
For 50 years, Radio Cayman has been the heartbeat of our islands, bringing you the news, the music, and those moments that matter most and more.
From the vinyl days to the digital ways.
And now, it's time to celebrate you. This Thursday and Friday, we're giving away exciting prizes on air as we continue to mark 50 years strong. Tune in, listen out for your cue, and you could be walking away with something special just for being a part of our journey. Thank you, Cayman Islands, for 50 incredible years. Radio Cayman, yesterday, today, and the next 50.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio, Dr. Steve McField, Theresa Pitcairn, and Roy Bodden. We're talking about legal aid system here in the Cayman Islands and possibilities of a public defender's office as well. Back over to you, Doc.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. The question was whether or not you can bring a constitutional
challenge. Yes.
Oh, sure. You can bring a constitutional challenge, just like you can bring a constitutional challenge to my favorite subjects. That's Section 119 of the Constitution. A district council. But who is going to bring that challenge? It would either have to be one of us here, Nobody else is going to do it. And now I would, I'm dare to say I don't have that kind of money to do that, because as soon as I would, and I guess Dr. Bodden or Dr. Pitcairn would do that, the stake would be so high against us. They would stretch it out such a long time that we would not have the money to continue the litigation, and we would have to give up the whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Can I stick a pin there, because you triggered a memory, if you don't mind? In America today, one of the things that the American community is recognizing is that power rests in their hands, because you can see how they're behaving with respect to the upcoming elections. It's almost as though they're saying, well, we have always provided, went to the vote, given Congress and the Senate the opportunity to represent their interests, but now they're just populating the streets and so on, and they're saying, well, you know what? We gave them the opportunity to represent our interests, but they're not playing, they're not flying right.
Yes.
So we got to go back on the street and march to make sure that they understand where power rests. And I say that to paraphrase, it's the same in the Cayman Islands. If you believe that your interests aren't being properly represented by your leadership, hey, you got to get out there and stand up and make your voices known, because people not going to recognize, they won't have an interest. They'll just think it's business as usual and continue as usual. And I wanted to just stick a pin in.
But the reverse is different here, because just for instance, and this is not distracting from what we're saying, I noticed that in other countries, if you want to stand for election, a group of people gets together and help you to fund the election. They raise money, they go out and they campaign for you, they canvass for you, and so forth. In Cayman, you have to give them money so that they can come out and vote for you. Yes. It's the opposite.
Yes.
It's the opposite.
Quite so.
It's the opposite.
Quite so.
So Cayman has always done things the reverse of everybody else. So the Caymanian people are not constitutionally and politically savvy. They do not understand what their rights are, because people have dumbed them down all of these years. And what they have done successfully, they have vilified their people who are enlightened, who are educated, and who are trained. And they have told them not to believe in us, and they have told them to discard us and to erase us from their presence. And so they have always relied on these other people coming in, doing things like legal aid and giving them the money to do legal aid, and now they don't have that services anymore, and now we're in this conundrum.
Well, Dr. McField, I have an observation, and it's an observation that concerned me for a long time. They have so mystified the legal process that, first of all, they let us believe that even when our people were qualified, they didn't have the ability to delve into financial and commercial aspects of the law. Mm-hmm. And so they dominated all of the corporate section of the law. And when they were satisfied in dominating that, and they saw that criminal litigation was lucrative, they similarly controlled that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the question I asked when we had a break is this system that we are in by design, or is it accident? Because if it's by design, then the Cayman Islands cannot set itself up to be a paragon of enlightenment and a first world country. It is certainly not, because nowhere in the civilized world can the system where the courts decides who gets legal aid not be a blatant conflict. And it is time that this be stripped away. And so I am happy that this discussion is going on, and I hope that those whom the discussion concerns are listening, because they should listen.
Well, Mr. Bodden, you remember I said in my opening remarks, I says in the high productive years of our lives, all of us, we shared the same experience. Dr. Pitcairn shared the same experience when she tried to apply to be a magistrate. You had the same experience when you tried to teach the history and to bring enlightenment, education enlightenment to us. In the high productive years of our lives, we were forced out of the lucrative professional local market, forced to take the scraps from the professional tables. So when we dare to confront the truth of these different realities, they created additional barriers to keep us silently out. For an example, when I left the prosecution bench, I had maybe 2 or 3 clients, but I had one main client. And a lot of people don't know this, but I'll say this today. My client was the United States government. I was sitting in my little office in Jack and Jay's building when a gentleman came from the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica. And my secretary said to me, "There's a man outside who wants to see you." And I said, "Who is it?" And he said, he's an American. And I was so happy that I was going to, get some of the suitcase money.
Yeah.
So suitcase money that I saw them go into the banks with the cardboard boxes full of money and so forth. I thought, and then he came. But it wasn't that. He came into my office and he introduced himself to me, and he says, he told me if he would like me to represent the United States of America. What? And I said to him, "Well, why do you consider me? I'm just a small farm, you know." And he says, "We have studied you, we know you, and you know that you're not full of anybody, and that's the kind of person we want to represent us." And he told me, he outlined what he wanted me to do, and I told him I would take 2 weeks to think about it. And then I went to see the Chief Justice, Sir John Summerfield. And I spoke to Sir John Summerfield about it, and I said, "Do you think it's a good thing?" And Sir John Summerfield told me every client needs to have the representation that they deserve, or need to have the deserved representation that they need. And he says he doesn't see anything about it. I started to represent the United States of America in their letters of request, also known as letters rogatory. I did all kinds of cases for them. Did John DeLorean case. I did all of those things here. I did the big case of the United States against Carver and others. That was a case in which this company had a contract by the United States to build silos for missile silos in Saudi Arabia. And they had siphoned off something like $300 million from it, and they had the money in Cayman and in Bermuda. And I need to find where the money was. And I would go to the Justice Department in Washington or New York or wherever, and I would go before the judge, and I would explain to the judge what they had to do, pre-trial discovery in criminal civil matters, and how they had to get around the Bank and Trust Companies law and the Confidential Relation Preservations law. And in those days, you could make application on Section 3 of the law to get the books and records of where you think illegal money was for the requesting state. I did those applications for 4 years, and it was the most lucrative thing for me. They were paying me at the time $750 a day, plus $150 a day for expenses. I was lucky to have gotten that. It was like God was with me in a way to have gotten that, to have gotten that job. It paid for my house, and I have a home today. Otherwise, I would not have a home today, because the backlash that I got from the establishment, from the people, I was not able to get a job even to write a letter for any of the establishment downtown. Everybody was pointing a finger at me and said I was an agent for the United States and so forth. I remember one evening, they were having a cocktail party at the place, it's now called Luca Restaurant, with a Court of Appeal. I was speaking to Mr. Justice Carr and and the president of the Court of Appeal, Mr. Zaka, and Mr. Charles Adams came up to the conversation. And he said, you have to be careful of him, He's a U.S. agent. And Mr. Justice Zaka said, no, Steve is not a U.S. agent. He works for them. He's an attorney working for the U.S. agent. I lost my mind that night. And I says to him that night, if you repeat that again, I'm going to strike every teeth out of your mouth. My wife was there. And she says to me afterward, I have never seen that side of you. I have known you all through university. You were always the guy that smiles. You could tell you a mile away in campus. I have never seen that side of you in my life. And I was so angry. And it was... Sir John Summerfield would not give me all the information I needed for the United States government in that request. And I had to take him on appeal to the Court of Appeal in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. I went to the Court of Appeal in Jamaica, and it was that case, United States against Carver and others, that was the foundation of the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty. It was that case. They were so hard to get the information from Sir John Summerfield that the Americans then decided to go by treaty to force the Cayman Islands into that was the first treaty, the MLAT Treaty in the Caribbean, in the Cayman. I went down to the town hall the evening that the State Department came down and they signed a treaty with Mr. Wassell Johnson and all of those people. They were in government then and signed a treaty. I never got a job in Cayman from them. I never got a bank job. I never got to do a mortgage. I never got, for the end of the day, they never trusted me. They vilified me and they put me out. And as a result, I almost lost my family.
Yep. That's what I refer to in the Seaman days of being blackball. Sorry, we have to go to our headline news. When we return, this conversation will continue, folks. Don't change that dial for the record. We'll be back shortly.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Government is encouraging you, if you're planning to travel overseas for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, take steps to protect your health before you go. This includes being up to date with all routine vaccinations. And once you get there, take precautions to avoid mosquito-borne diseases, practice safe sex abroad, and stay healthy at mass gatherings by frequently washing your hands or using alcohol-based sanitizer, drinking water from reliable sources only, and staying hydrated. The tournament will be jointly hosted by the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, June 11th through July 19th. In international news, U.S. President Donald Trump and Iran's senior officials have traded new threats of further action after the two sides exchanged strikes. Trump said Tehran had taken, quote, too long to negotiate a deal and would now, quote, have to pay the price, without giving specific details. He said Iran had been, quote, completely defeated and was, quote, all talk and no action. It came after Iran's foreign minister earlier warned his country would, quote, leave no attack or threat unanswered, saying that the U.S. had suffered defeats on the battlefield. The U.S. says it struck Iranian sites today after a U.S. Army helicopter was downed in the Gulf. In response, Iran launched attacks at U.S. bases in the region. And U.S. prices in May rose at their fastest rate in 3 years, with inflation surging to 4.2%. The rise from 3.8% a month earlier was largely driven by rising energy costs. It marked the third month in a row the consumer price index has risen, with households in the U.S. increasingly feeling the strain of the U.S. and Israel war with Iran. Higher inflation raises the likelihood of the U.S. Federal Reserve raising interest rates in a bid to curtail spending. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Your Cayman Islands Health Services Authority has been the national healthcare provider of the Cayman Islands for many generations. We have elevated our level of care to ensure you, our patients, have the best possible experience. We offer better access to care close to home with the most locations on all 3 islands, delivering a full range of primary, secondary, tertiary, and emergency care. HSA is a JCI accredited organization, and we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Doctors Roy Bodden, Theresa Pitcairn, and Steve McField. One of our listeners written and said good morning, Madam Pitcairn and Doctors McField and Bodden. When I watch and hear my people, it reminds me of the Dave Martin song, That's Cayman. The 3 of you need to still be in office along with Gilbert McLean. What a Cayman we would have. Honest, integrity. You're all Caymanians, and that's coming from Mr. George Gillette. Mr. George Gillette wrote that. Thank you very much for your comments there. Back over to you, Miss P.
Yeah, so I'll just pick up from what Dr. McField was saying. Look, I call him Steve and I call you Roy, so I'm going to dispense with the protocol. And you will have heard that passion that came through. You will have heard the vicissitudes that certainly he has gone through, myself and Roy. Steve alluded to my being appointed to the magistrates bench some years ago. And that was actually encouraged by the former Chief Justice. And I was not chosen as a member of our magistrates because of one lawyer in this country, one lawyer. And I remembered having the conversation with Arden McLean, Honorable Arden McLean. He knew the history, he understood. And let me underscore how important someone like Arden has been to this community. Whenever something came up that was controversial and he understood the facts, he always supported it. You know, my career would not have evolved as it did, certainly when it came to dealing with the Legal Practitioners Bill, without having his support. So I want to let Caymanian people know the gem that they have had in leadership, like Arden and obviously Roy and Gilbert and others, you know. But he orchestrated a situation to ensure that I would have received a fair hearing and ensure that the particular lawyer would not have been there to cause any craziness. And the evening that the results came out, there was a justice who, I'm not going to call her name, who I had a very good relationship with. Steve and I were there, and Chief Justice Zaka described my performance when I was interviewed by all of those persons conducting the review. And quote unquote, he said, "Your girls got it." I heard that myself. So when it came to this situation that I couldn't be appointed to the magistrates because I had a relationship with Mr. McKeever Bush, that was the reason that was provided as to why I could not have been appointed to her bench. So this is new to you, but Steve and I know the history, and he was there with me. And then, it was then suggested by Ian Paget Brown that I have judicial review with it because he too saw what transpired. And then it got to a point where I had to make a choice between my marriage, my children, and my career. And the lawyer who said that, who created the consternation said, you will never be employed in this island again. And that was because of the work that I did in developing the legal practitioner's law to ensure that lawyers would be properly reviewed and, have certain standards in terms of their behavior. So this is a shared history. And I say this not because we have any bad faith about the future, because as Steve rightly says, we want to look forward now about what it's going to take to remedy the current situation, because what's happened in the past, that's there. But it's good that the community understands that history and the why in order to move forward. Now, this will be a monumental opportunity for Caymanians who are listening, because I know of a situation where a young lady called me and she gave my number to someone that's in the prison who reached out to me and, raised certain concerns that he had at the time. But this is an opportunity for us to have a conversation around this issue, but it's an issue that has broader consequences and far-reaching consequences for this island and our children who is going to inherit where we are today. And, so it's also an opportunity to invite you to be courageous as well. You don't need a degree to have a brain and to communicate your concerns. You have a lived experience that you can justify, and that's what's important, being able to talk about your experience and creating solutions that's going to take you forward. So I share that to raise some context in that you're listening to some passionate experiences this morning, and we don't even know where that came from. but it's an opportunity, however, for Caymanian people to see where we've been, but how we can go forward. And I'll just touch on the public defender system, and then so that we can get back into the conversation.
Okay, let's take that commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit cineco.ky today. Cineco. Keeping Cayman covered.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
The world's game is here! FIFA World Cup 2026 is now, and Futbolista World has you covered. Literally. Get your authentic country jerseys, flags, and memorabilia, and your special Watching Live from the Cayman Islands World Cup jersey for just $55. Because it's more than a jersey. It's your front row seat to the World Cup. Ready to play? Ready to win. Stop by Futbolista World, located next to Baytown Plaza opposite the Wharf Restaurant, or shop online at futbolistaworld.com. Planning an office watch party? Futbolista World can deliver your colors straight to your office. Visit futbolistaworld.com or call 916-3668. Futbolista World. All authentic. All World Cup.
The 7 a.m. Sports Report brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
Calling Caymanians. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service is hiring local recruits.
Are you interested in serving your community on the front line? Apply now to join our ranks in service to the Cayman Islands. As a police officer, you make a difference. Be a part of a team and experience a job where no two shifts are the same. The deadline for applications is Sunday, June 14th at midnight. Visit rcips.ky to apply now and start your journey with the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service.
Hi, this is Gary King from Totally 80s. My special guest this week is Annie Lennox. Annie talks about the early days of Eurythmics and her first meeting with Dave Stewart. I'll also bring you the latest news on the biggest stars of the decade.
This is Totally 80s.
Heard on Saturdays from 2 until 4 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 and 91.9. And brought to you with the kind compliments of KFC.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio, Doctors Bodden, Theresa Pitcairn, and Steve McField. I see where Mr. Alric Lindsay celebrating a birthday today. Want to wish him a happy birthday as well. And to our listening and viewing audience, Miss T, you used a highfalutin word a little bit earlier. I just say that so. Yeah. But I just, for our listeners, because I want you to explain it, you used the word vicissitude. Vicissitude.
Yeah, it's going back and forth.
And it means unpredictable, often uncontrollable changes, circumstances, or ups and downs that occur in the course of life, fortune, or the development of something. So you basically, in old Cayman parlance, you were explaining the ups and downs of life as far, from a legal standpoint.
So I'll just take us back to the public defender system and then again invite my colleagues Steve and Roy to have some input. So, and what I did, I looked at the pros and the cons. So in my mind, based on where we are today, if you had a public defender system, it would obviously improve access and timeliness. So you get immediate representation without applications for delay. You'll get some consistency in quality control because you'd have dedicated trained defense counsel with standardized practice. I targeted, and you'll have institutional expertise, lawyers specializing in criminal and civil matters, legal aid matters. Reduced reliance on the private bar capacity, because that's a bit of a problem, So you'll have more predictable resourcing, and you'll have a stronger constitutional alignment. I couldn't stop without mentioning that, because when you operationalize that, you get the right to fair trial. But the challenges and risks around that remain the same. You have the cost implications because this requires sustained government funding and infrastructure, caseload pressure. You get the risk of overburdened defenders affecting quality, the perception of independence. And let me underscore that because we've talked about that several times. You've heard what Dr. Steve was saying. State-employed defenders may be perceived, rightly or wrongly, as less than independent. And the scale considerations, Cayman size, may not justify a full standalone office versus maybe, because I was also thinking of a hybrid system, and I was thinking of that in the context of the recent administrative tribunal legislation that's been passed. Since 2000, I've been advocating for that. So finally, we have the law, and obviously we need to develop the regulations and stuff. So I was thinking about that when I thought of a hybrid system. But a practical, balanced approach for Cayman, I don't know. People may think that a hybrid model is better. I'm not sure. I'm not there yet. And that would maintain the legal aid framework as it is. But you need to enhance early access mechanism, improve funding and fee structure, clarify, streamline eligibility criteria, and introduce elements of what we understand a public defender function is, which is a small centralized defense unit. In the UK, for example, it's usually for criminal matters, but we would want something better suited for us. Expanded due to counsel services at arrest and first appearance, and stronger oversight and quality assurance framework. So those are some of the thoughts I'm left with, bearing in mind I'm aware of what Steve and I tried to do from 2010, looking at where we are today, and they just kind of like briefly summarize the issues. So while I was doing the research and collecting my thoughts, I went on ChatGPT. My kids are into that. So I actually looked at Steve and I and to see what would come out if I put in our names from our history in Cayman. And this is what it says. At a high level, both Steve McField and Theresa Pitcairn have consistently advocated for strengthening access to justice in the Cayman Islands, with particular focus on addressing gaps in the current legal aid system and other legislation. And then it has Steve McField. Steve has publicly emphasized the need to expand access to justice beyond criminal law, recognizing vulnerable individuals face significant barriers. Greater state responsibility in ensuring fairness and equity. It just sent this out. So they have captured the history of your performance based on wherever they go into the cybersphere to get it. And I found that was summarized. And then with me, it says, I've always been more about drafting and framing operational regulatory focus and highlighting, and they listed the different legislation that I've been involved with, but always wanting to have structure and the way to move forward. So I thought that was cute. That was interesting.
I have a question. Yeah. With the high cost of living now in the Cayman Islands, and it extends to a person's ability to get satisfactory, proper legal representation as well. Should that factor in to the provision of legal aid, knowing quite well that someone may have a modest income, but at the same time would be financially devastated if they had to use that to either defend themselves or in other instances.
It's interesting you say that, because I sent a WhatsApp to one of our ministers, and I said, this is a great opportunity, because this isn't just about legal aid. If it were possible, in my mind, I would want to see a system that encompasses not just legal aid, because you can see the spillover that it has into other areas as well, and create the infrastructure and legislation around taking care of people's interests. So many of us can't afford to go. I had a friend, someone recommended that Steve and I have a conversation with a young lady, and I thought that this particular lawyer would give her a fair hearing. I sent the young lady to see the person. She was there less than 10 minutes and she was charged $500.
Whoa.
So, and I was just she left me speechless when she mentioned it. Anyways, for context, persons like her need proper representation, right? And the issues that are covered by legal aid, she won't get that representation. It's the same thing with the areas like, say, labor, with the labor tribunal. People go there to get access for quick, reasonable justice and so on and so forth. If we were so minded, we could get a collection of folks who would sit down and figure out what works best for us. But that takes deliberate, that would require folks in leadership to take a deliberate step and demonstrate that, this is something that they're going to invite folks who care enough, who have the expertise and can sit down in one space and come up with something at the end of the day. That's my personal view. I don't think, let me not throw in a cold water on this, but that's what it's going to kind of take. My family sent me WhatsApp this morning when I told them I was going on the talk show this morning. They had sent me a plethora of issues that concern them as well. They've heard me talk about them before. So they're saying, well, T, how can we actually deal with all of these things? Because at its core, is Caymanians not really having representation and can't afford to get proper representation.
Is there a need then? Will there be a need to actually exclude from these types of discussions and decisions those who stand to gain financially from it? Because it would appear that in the past, those entities that stood to gain financially by providing legal aid services supported it at that point in time. And when it was no longer in their best interests, then they shied away from it. So do we need to keep those special interests out of the discussion?
We would be
think so.
careful, though. Careful how we do it. Because
Yes.
this morning I was speaking to someone, again, who I respect, who is now, he's dealt with the issues. You will have seen an article that was communicated in 2009. But this particular person knows of other individuals who have the same kind of concerns that we have, came from a similar history, wants to do something about it and can contribute. What I was going to say as well is that many immigrants that come here now have these issues. So we have to this is something we have to sit down with, be deliberate about, marinate it, and figure out best outcomes. But that's going to require people who in leadership have the appetite to do this. But
the way to guarantee, Mr. Moderator, what you are concerned about is to set the criterion so strictly that you wean them out without making it look deliberate. And if you get committed minds, that can be done. That's the way these things are handled, by setting the criterion so meticulously that they get the message that this really is not for persons like you that are not totally committed, that are motivated strictly by money. But what I want to say is, listening to this conversation, I'm telling you, I'm informed, I'm enlightened, I'm intrigued by this. The statement I wish to make is that it seems to me that we are at an inflection point.
Yeah.
We are at an inflection point. And depending on how this is handled, it could be good for the society or it could be bad, and not bad. It could put us in a worsening position that will threaten the very stability of our society. Because what we're talking about this morning, what I have heard, is a system that is so sick and so malfunctional that it risks disenfranchising a certain element of people who are really in no position to afford legal aid. And that does not make for a good society, albeit that most of these people are probably written off as poor and insignificant. Nevertheless, they are still deserving of legal representation.
And the person or the entity who is determining that should not be conflicted.
No,
should not be conflicted.
Definitely not.
And as you have said, there are a lot of cases where people are a little above the poverty line. In other words, they have a little savings. They might have a house, they might have a little piece of land, but they can't afford to mount a long period of litigation. In those respects, you would expect, and I saw this in other jurisdictions, the legal aid system would ask them to make a contribution to the legal aid.
Right.
And to make a contribution to legal aid. And if they win the matter and the damages, then the legal aid would get a percentage of the damages. Damages. But just let me tell you how sick the system is. A gentleman came to see me a couple of months ago. He had applied for permanent residence and he was refused. And I told him I couldn't take the case. I told him because of my position on as chair of the appeal tribunal, I couldn't take the case. So I asked him why he was in that dilemma. He said when the refusal came, he was off the island. And when he came and he got the refusal letter, he was out of time. He was out of time appealing to the Grand Court, and he says to me that he when he went to see the lawyer charged him $5,000 as a deposit, and the lawyer told him to come back in 2 days' time because the lawyer had to do the research. And I says to him, but why would you have to come back in 2 days to do the research? Because the lawyer, when he came back, the lawyer told him, I'm sorry, but I can't help you because you're out of time. And I said, but the lawyer should have told you that the first time when you went to see him, when you sit down in front of him, because every child knows that an appeal from a tribunal or from the court, from the summary court to the Grand Court is 14 days. You don't need to go to it, just do the research, to know that fact. And the lawyer took the money and wouldn't give it back to him.
Wow.
The lawyer took his $5,000 and wouldn't give it back to him.
We're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, I just thought about this. Well, I've been thinking about it for a while. Mr. Bodden, you've written so many books, and, from the guardhouse to the glass house. I wonder if you were in the legal profession, you would write one, from the courthouse to the jailhouse. Folks, with that, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite band-aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superhero shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Those of you who are just joining us in the studio, Doctors Steve McField, Theresa Pitcairn, and Roy Bodden. And the next book out will be From the Courthouse to the Jailhouse. Mr. Bodden, over to you, sir.
Well, you certainly... Yeah, that will have to be a collaborative effort between my colleagues, Dr. Steve and Dr. Pitcairn. But it dawned on me as I listened to the conversations, which is, and this is not an impossibility. Someone could be, the system could be faced with a moral dilemma. In the instance of somebody who has to mortgage their property, a house, their residence, in order to get money to defend themselves, and they lose before the courts because of whatever circumstance. Is it not obvious to the government that it is better for them to set up some kind of public defender system where such persons can get access to legal aid to defend themselves without having to strip themselves of the only asset they have, in which case a loss would mean that the person would be a ward of the state and would have to be on the mercy of the government to find them housing, and may even be more than housing. So this is not rocket science. This is common human decency, and it speaks to the kind of empathy that is needed in our society, a growing society. And not only now are generational Caymanians caught up in this, but what about all of those people that are immigrating into the system that are not able, by virtue of the fact of their employment, to have access to these kinds of mechanisms to defend themselves?
Yep. Misty?
Yes, it's a dilemma. And the reason why I brought my laptop this morning was because on it you will find I don't my laptop hasn't accepted the Wi-Fi here, but there's a summary in the news media about the system that we were trying to impose, trying to get the government to set up in 2010. It's a summary of that on the top. If you ever want to look it up. The problem that I see is that, and I think the Chief Justice made some reference to this, is now because of how the system works, the young lawyers who are now graduating from law school are not interested in legal aid. I think that's what she said. That it's more lucrative for them to go to work for the law firms where we're going to start off at $150,000 to $200,000 a year, and instead of going and spending all their time getting their degrees, and then working for $160 an hour. I think that's what she said, something to that effect. And so now there's nothing to attract them towards legal aid. Every time I turn on the radio and listen to the UCCI, you was it ICCI?
The radio?
ICCI radio.
ICCI. Yeah.
The director there of the college says, I have an affinity to for classroom work. Well, I always had an affinity for help the less fortunate. When I was at law school, I worked in legal aid clinics in different places where I went to school. Even when I was not in law school, I worked in legal aid clinic in Vancouver for the BC's chapter of the NAACP. I was the chair of the legal aid clinic in Vancouver. My boss was a guy called Emre Barnes, who became the Speaker of the BC Parliament, and his running mate was Gary Locke, who was the Minister of Labour. And we did a lot of work helping people who were charged with offences and didn't have the means to defend themselves and so forth. So I was always interested in that. But some of my colleagues used to say to me, McField, why are you spending all your time going to the legal aid clinics helping people? You know, they're not going to be able to help you. You're not going to get rich. You're not going to have any money. And so I said, well, I think I have the affinity to help the fellow man. And I remember when I left the government and I went into court and people didn't have representation, I would get up and represent them right away, and so forth and so forth. And so it has always been part of my persona to help people who are less fortunate than I am. And but the Chief Justice, the present Chief Justice, has indicated that there are a lot of law graduates now who are not interested in going to courts to do legal aid, because it's more lucrative for them now to go and to do commercial work in the commercial realm. Yeah, and the service industry pays a lot, but the rewards also. It's there in the legal aid system, because if you can help a person today and help him to be grounded, and even show him the errors of his ways, and even if you have to plead guilty and mitigate for him, and to help him get a lighter sentence and to help his family, that is reward. To me, that is rewarding and as rich as if you were making $10,000 a week.
Exactly. My daughter said, and I'll touch on that, because my daughter called me the other day, and their issue has always been how I manage to juggle community contribution and a personal life and working full time. And they've always, struggled to see how I manage to balance it. And she said to me, she's just done a favor for someone that went to university with her, where she was able to call someone to raise $50,000 for this person who is interested in film as well. So she called me and she says, Mom, I probably will not begin to understand how you manage to do what you do, but I now get it. I get the feeling, the satisfaction that you get from doing not only the right thing, but giving someone else joy. Now, this is not to suggest that she's mean-spirited or anything, but she and Steve is right. You've got to be wired to have certain sensibilities that rises beyond money, and I think this is what you see here today, because I know the three of us combined, the kind of work we've done for community for free, yourself included, OC. So there is something else that is so refreshing, that fulfills your spirit and your soul, that you can't get from making plenty of money. So that, I'd like to share that, for us to try and rebuild that in our community.
And it's a cultural struggle, because as generational Caymanians, we have never been like that. So as someone who chronicles the evolution of this society, these changes have only come to pass since we have had an influx of people from the metropolitan countries who live by survival of the fittest. And so they look askance at persons who are charitable, persons who are empathetic towards the less fortunate, because the jurisdictions from which they come, those are not qualities that lead you to the top.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You see?
Okay, with that, why don't we'll take the commercial break now, so when we return, we'll have enough time for you to summarize everything and then to get some closing comments as well.
Or if anyone...
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
The world's game is here. FIFA World Cup 2026 is now, and Futbolista World has you covered. Literally, get your authentic country jerseys, flags, and memorabilia, and your special Watching Live from the Cayman Islands World Cup jersey for just $55. Because it's more than a jersey. It's your front row seat to the World Cup. Ready to play? Ready to win. Stop by Futbolista World, located next to Baytown Plaza opposite the Wharf Restaurant, or shop online at futbolistaworld.com. Planning an office watch party? Futbolista World can deliver your colors straight to your office. Visit futbolistaworld.com or call 916-3668. Futbolista World. All authentic. All World Cup.
Craving something bold, juicy, and packed with flavor? Introducing KFC's new crispy barbecue sandwich served on a soft, buttery brioche bun. That's 100% KFC premium chicken breast, perfectly crispy, deliciously smoky with crispy onions, cheddar cheese, and barbecue sauce. Just the right amount of messy in the best way possible. Stacked with layers of bold KFC flavor, this sandwich is your new obsession. But hurry, it's only at KFC for a limited time. So what are you waiting for? Get yours today at any of the 3 KFC locations on island. KFC, finger licking good, just got bolder.
Happy 50th anniversary Radio Cayman. My name is Carl Brown. You're the spirit and the ethos of the Caymanian people. Lomax Rankin in the mornings. Cheryl Ann and Joy Brandon reading news. Dorian Miller, the first talk show host. Sportscaster Ed Bush. What a memory. Radio Cayman is more than the voice. It is the soul of the Cayman Islands.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. I've also been asked to send birthday greetings to Miss Gina Ebanks Petrie. Happy birthday going out to her as well. And we do have a caller. We're going to grab that caller before we start to wrap up. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. I was just wondering if I wasn't going to get on to have some sort of dialogue with my 3 most favorite.
Yeah, we never know who's calling, so you know.
Good morning to honorable doctors there, Pitcairn, I call him Teacher Roy, and my good friend Dr. McField, and to you too, OC.
Thank you.
The conversation that's been taking place, I do not have what it takes to generate anything that would be essential to that intellectual dialogue that was taking place. But the bit of intellectual ability I have, I learned it at an early age from Teacher Roy. He was very instrumental in having me at a young age, primary school. He was our principal. That'll tell you how intelligent that gentlemen are. And then later on, migrated to being a friend with Dr. McField, who would tell me, you better get your own constitution, stop waking me up in the middle of the night asking me stuff, right? And then getting on to become friends with Dr. Pitcairn. So I'm getting there. But I do believe the time that they spend on this radio is just a waste of time. Just a waste of time. Because they should not be on the radio. They shouldn't be on the radio. All governments that are elected should have them right next to them getting advice. They shouldn't be having to come on the radio. It should be with every government, no matter what government. They should have them as their advisors in various capacity, because those 3 individuals there can serve in so many capacities in this island that we need help, where the local people need help, that they could generate things that would be essential to the betterment of the Cayman people. So I think that sometime when they come on, me and Dr. McField had this before, you say, I can forget this whole thing. And I agree with him, because they come on talk. I wonder if the elected members are listening. And another thing, those 3 individuals there could replace like 4 or 5 elected members, because they do not have the experience, they're intelligent, they know how to do things, or they're spunk to do things because they all get elected and then they're being tamed down by some backroom conference or that what I organization named that Chamber of Commerce thing. That too. So I want to say kudos to the three that they should be running the country.
Thank you very much, Lord Graham, for that. And just to say simply that, while I understand what he says, that the people of the Cayman Islands, our audience here at Radio Cayman, they certainly want to hear from these three as well, and they enjoy hearing from them also. Ms. T, I'm going to hand the mic over to you to let you do the last 10 minutes of direction.
Yeah, so thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank each and everyone who gave us a moment this morning to share our thoughts with you here and in the wider global community. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us that space. I'm not going to spend too much time because Steve and Roy are better at this than I am, but what I wanted to say was that justice cannot be a commodity bought by the highest bidder. When we deny legal aid to the vulnerable, we silence their voices and compromise the integrity of our entire legal system. Funding legal aid is not an act of charity. It's a strict constitutional duty, as I've shared earlier. We must choose to live in a society where the protection of the law is guaranteed to everyone, not just people who can afford it. And I'd just like to pass it over to Roy and Steve for closing remarks.
Mr. Bodden?
Yes, I echo those sentiments, and I wish to reiterate that every citizen of the jurisdiction, irrespective of whatever status they hold, deserve to be represented to the best of what is available legally. Because if the situation is allowed to arise where people feel that they are denied justice or deprived of justice, it cannot be good. But I am worried because when I read the situation that exists, it seems to me that justice is reserved for a few, and too many of the poor, impoverished, and unimportant people are left with the short shrift. It cannot be good, and so I am an advocate of a system which allows those who can least afford it a fair trial and fair representation.
Doc, to McField.
It's unfortunate that we have so many people in the prison system and in the court system who are waiting such a long time to get their cases heard, as I read in the newspapers, and that is a sign and a result of the denial of justice. And to have the system where the system is selective of the people who you want to represent the unfortunate people who needs legal representation are not doing that anymore. That should be the spare that pares the veil that exposes the person behind the curtain. In the Wizard of Oz, you remember the Wizard of Oz, the wizard. It's so alarming and so fragile sometimes, and so detrimental that the Chief Justice has to come out and in the Grand Court openings and to say this is a problem. This should not be a problem in a society that we boast that we're the richest in the Caribbean, and that we're the most honest, and that we have the motto called the Cayman kind. It does not bode well for the Cayman kind philosophy. And the problem that we have is that we need to get all of this sorted out as quickly as possible. We need to have a system where people can have justice as soon as possible. And just because they say justice delayed, it's justice denied.
So folks, in terms of
see, one sec. I just got. I received a whole bunch of WhatsApp, but this one I think speaks to. So the person is saying, on behalf of myself and others like me, I'd just like to say that there are still a few of us who still do not charge for initial meetings and keep it within a certain minimum, say 20 minutes. And that said, and with all the additional regulations, I'm told that this will change for some who simply won't be able to afford to be as generous in the future, because others like that person, they're considering winding down, and it's not, even though you want to help, they simply can't afford to help because of the cost.
As far as the criteria is concerned, in terms of qualifying, is the what is the rationale behind it? Is it there a fear that those persons who actually can afford it may apply for it, and isn't there a way of filtering them, out of the system if that is the case?
Well, definitely. And in our system, we had a set of criteria that would have weeded out people who did deserve the legal aid system, because first thing, they would have to come to the interview, and they would be interviewed by a panel of 3 lawyers from different fields, and they would have to pass that interview on to the whole panel of lawyers to be able to get the action of the office to work for them. So all that is the red herrings across the line. Yeah. All that is just red herring to keep people out. And it seems to me that they were only granting legal aid to certain people, and certain people were hogging the legal aid system, and that is why Dan Duguay was worried about certain people making all the money from legal aid.
Okay.
Still got some time left.
We were going to try to grab one more caller, but I think we... it was an offline comment. I was researching. Well, now I heard this phrase the other day, and then I did a little research, and it is so true. Even the devil masquerades as a source of light.
Yes. Yes.
How interesting.
Yes.
How interesting. Well, so Ms. T, what's next on the menu? We know that some of your listeners, your fans, and the people of the the people who know that you will advocate for them. We know that there's another topic that they want to discuss, and we're looking forward to doing that as well, with some adjustments in terms of our panel.
Immigration, because I get that day in, day out. So I think, and I mean, I want to say it's obvious that Caymanians have real concerns living in a community where you have about 100,000 people living here, and of that 100,000, maybe you have 30,000 who are Caymanians, and if you want to even split that, you get into paper Caymanians and status Caymanians and generational Caymanians. So there's a whole mix-up that's there, and people, the impression I get from folks is that some changes have been made, but they haven't gone far enough. And the question I hear from others is whether or not this government or the Caymanian people have an appetite for developing an immigration process that is not unlike what you see in Dubai, where, for example, people come and work for a period of time, but they don't ever get the opportunity to have status. And I hear that from credible sources, but especially younger Caymanians. And they will say, well, they will try it with me and I'll just shut it down. Well, what did you do when, all of this stuff was happening? I would kind of like put them, straight up that, but there must be that willingness. People can't sit down at home and think that Jesus is going to come here and solve that problem for them, because that's how we have been. I don't know. That's the impression that we seem to have, that, you just pray and something happens. prayer is good and it has its place. And I would never be that person that denigrates that. But I also have to advocate that, Caymanians too must stand up for themselves and be, speak their truth too. Roy and Steve alluded, we won't always be here. And there needs to be succession with persons who don't have to be identical to us, but similar to us. And you can't just be afraid of doing the right thing, because that's what you hear from people. But I can't do that because of my job. I can't do that because of my job. Nothing ventured. Mr. Hunter said this to me when he gave me the scholarship to go and study. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yep.
And when I tried to get into Cambridge, I was so silly. I hadn't realized the importance of how that would look on my CV. When my daughter had that opportunity to go, I says, don't make the mistake your mother made. Get right there. So, yeah.
Okay, I want to thank all of you, our panel here, distinguished panel, Dr. Roy Bodden, Dr. Steve McField, Dr. Theresa Pitcairn as well. We hope and we trust that you found this discussion extremely useful. And we hope that those lawyers out there who are listening to this, that it may inspire you in one way or the other. Those who are thinking about going into the legal profession as well, it will inspire you. And those who are already in it, that you will understand, some of the issues facing the Cayman Islands, and you will do your part so that we can address the issues facing those who are less fortunate in our society. Folks, don't forget, join Mr. Charles Glidden-Shallow at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to continue to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. JN Money, from abroad to Yad. And Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, Cayman right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is